Hello, welcome to my bed. We're in my bed because I'm in pain today because I'm having a fibromyalgia flare up. I have been not getting very good sleep, and that leads to a lot of pain. So, anyways, enough of that. So, in case you were wondering why I'm in bed and why you're in bed with me, welcome to my bed. So, anyways, I'm going to talk about when I got fibromyalgia. I was a healthy, vibrant young woman in my 30s. And I was living the life. I was going out with my friends, having fun. And then I got sick. It was some kind of virus, and it was very much like mono. And I know it wasn't mono because I had mono when I was in my 20s. So I know it was definitely not like, I know it wasn't mono, but it was definitely a lot like mono. I was sick, and then all I wanted to do was sleep. For an entire month, I just wanted to sleep. I would get home from work and I would do the bare minimum with my little dogs, my poor little dogs. I would spend as much time as I possibly could with them, and then I would just go to bed. I would go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock every night and drag myself out of bed and go to work and do the bare minimum at work. Not that anybody noticed. um, and then I finally dragged out of it, and I had no energy after that. It was the weirdest thing. I went to all the doctors, and they couldn't figure it out. And then I started having all these weird random pain everywhere in random places. But the worst place was in my hands. I started having all this pain in my hands, and that's really not a good thing when you work in a lab and you have to pipette all the time. So I would try Tylenol, ibuprofen, Tylenol and ibuprofen, and then I would stack it. That means you take Tylenol and then ibuprofen after that. Not at the same time. You would stacking it means oh, I'm not going to give advice, sorry. Can't do that. So, but that causes a lot of problems for some people, and I'm one of those people. I would get really bloated, and it didn't help because with fibromyalgia, it's not like regular pain. So I would take all these things and it wouldn't help at all, and I would be going to doctors and it would not help me. So I started seeing specialist after specialist after specialist, and they would be doing all these tests. I saw a rheumatologist, they'd be doing all these tests, and then it is the weirdest thing and this is over a period of years, to go over, see specialists after specialists to rule things out. And it's the weirdest thing to be sitting in a doctor's office. And you're not going to understand this if you haven't had a medical condition where you've had to rule things out, because there's no test for fibromyalgia. You can't go and get a test for it. It's not like diabetes. It's not a disease like that where you can go and get a test and, yep, you got diabetes. It's nothing like that. It's something where you have to rule other things out, and then they finally say, okay, well, and then a lot of doctors didn't believe it existed. So it was very hard to get it treated. And then to get in to see a pain doctor, oh, forget it. Oh, but anyways, it was a very weird thing to be sitting in. At this time, it was in an endocrinologist's office, and then the doctor was telling me all these things that I didn't have, and I was actually starting to cry because he was telling me I didn't have disease, these horrible diseases, and I was crying because I didn't have these diseases, because it meant that I still didn't have an answer. I didn't know what I had yet. So back to the drawing board. I waited another year and then I went back again to the rheumatologist because it was my hands. My hands, I guess, I don't know if that's unusual for fibromyalgia. Whenever you look up fibromyalgia, they point to all these other areas, and the hands were never like the number one. They point to the neck and they point to the knees, but my hands were the number one thing. So like the rheumatologist were my doctor always wanted to send me. So I went back to the rheumatologist and no. So eventually I went to the pain doctor again, and at this time I had arthritis in my back. I started having pain in my back and life really just sucked. So I'm going to end here because I could just talk on and on forever and you probably stopped listening 5 seconds into the recording, but I could go on for hours and hours, and I know all of you out there with fibromyalgia and similar issues could also go on. I wish we could all sit in a room and talk together and hold hands, gently hold hands. But thank you for listening. If you're still out there listening, I'll be out there, and hopefully you're out there too. Bye. And thank you for joining me in bed, by the way. If that was awkward, I'm sorry. I'll probably be in my bed again the next time you see me. This is usually where I am when I record these things. Toodles. Good night.